Who is with Vinny Fiorenza? There's a lot he doesn't know. There's a lot he wants to know. This is a podcast where he tries to learn from people who know things he doesn't. He'll be focusing on people from the worlds of business, entertainment, and the arts. His guests are people he finds fascinating and that he believes will bring value to others. Join him on the journey on finding out who is.
I always chose entrepreneurship over having a day job, quote unquote, because I knew a day job wouldn't be flexible enough. Yeah. And I also don't like being told what to do. We have so many people that tell us that every job they've booked has been with a WeAudition reader. Wow. I think this idea is right now. I don't think I'm the only person that would have had this idea. We need to just crack on and get going. Nice. And we need to build it, and we need to build it quickly. My theme was inspiration or invitation. If I got invited somewhere, I said yes, and if I wasn't invited anywhere, I just went somewhere I was inspired to go.
We're here with Darren Darnborough. So episode I've really been excited to have. Let's get right into it, Darren. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course.
So yeah, my name's Darren Darnborough, as you said. I am a British actor and entrepreneur from London, England, and moved to LA in 2006. And so LA's generally been my home ever since. I've traveled quite a lot extensively, but yeah, this is where I'm at, and this is where I do my stuff.
Yeah, well, we're real happy to have you here. Tell us about a little bit about your upbringing. Like, what were you like as a kid?
You know, as a kid, I was very quirky. I had like big curly, bright red hair, bright ginger hair, a bigger gap in my teeth than I have now.
That's great.
And I would say I was a mix of curious and mischievous, but also studious, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand.
So yeah, I would always try and do well at school, and I'd be I guess one of the more intelligent people. However, I was always questioning, and if I ever got in trouble at school, it's for back talking, or it's like for asking why too much, things like that. Well, so I was always curious about things, and and then I started to be entrepreneurial at quite a young age.
I was going to ask, that was one of my questions. I was going to say, did you always have that entrepreneurial nature? Like, give us some examples of how you did that as a kid.
I mean, in a way, I had the hustle nature for sure. I mean, I remember having these little sort of playground businesses when I was 10 or 11.
Give us an example.
Oh, one time we had a school fete, and you have to provide something, and I remember I was making popcorn at home, and I figured I could sell it at school, and did. So then carried on selling that at school. I had a not particularly ethical business when I was 12 of like helping my friends get computer games that that I had.
Nice, there you go. Whatever it takes.
We'll leave it there. But because you're young, you're doing these little different things. And then I remember having a newspaper round. Where delivered.
Oh, me too.
Delivered newspapers, but my brain worked like this: is that I would do it on my roller skates to do it quicker, and I would recruit a friend to help me.
I did the same thing.
But I was making more money than I was paying my friend. So it was one of those kind of like I slowly learned, and then by the time I got to my mid-teens, I was running events for the other kids at school. So I'd literally hire out a church hall or some youth center, and I'd book DJs from the local radio station, and I'd create the flyers, and I'd sell the tickets. And that's what I do in my school lunchtimes, was sell tickets to youth raves.
Wow.
And then that progressed into more events-led businesses later on. Yeah. And as I became an actor, I think the entrepreneurial spirit stayed with me, because I always knew that you needed to have some kind of not fallback plan for acting. I've never wanted to call it a fallback plan, but you need some sort of support system, right?
Understood.
And so I knew from a very young age that if in order to pursue this career, I couldn't be limited with my time or my flexibility.
Of course.
So I always chose entrepreneurship over having a day job, quote unquote, because I knew a day job wouldn't be flexible enough.
No, I get it. Yeah.
And I also don't like being told what to do. And so if I'm
as most entrepreneurs.
and so, that goes back to the thing about school. But yeah, so I guess if I not liking being told what to do, and I know there's going to be
very
moments
mischievous.
where where I have a director that's telling me what to do, then it better not be told what to do in the rest of the area of my life. You know.
Going back to you mentioning that you're an actor as well, when did you start performing? Like, was it from a young age?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. So performing, I was in a dance class probably when I was like 4 years old.
Oh, that's great. You still got the moves?
I have not. I have not. Terrible. But yeah, I think I went to dance school because my sister was going to dance school, my older sister, and I was probably like the little brat that was like, I want to go too. So I did like tap and modern, and ended up doing a bunch of dance competitions that were fit for a kid. Like, I'm not saying it's anything epic, but I went up the ranks of where you could go as a kid in that sense. Stopped doing that for a bit, and then I got back into pantomimes when I was 11 years old, which if your audience don't know, pantomime is like a musical that
that's
we do
the
at Christmas.
yeah.
It's based upon a fairy tale, right?
Yep.
So it's a lot of
panto.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
So it's, you know, and the audience participate, they boo you and hiss and stuff, but it's a really well-rounded performance strategy, really, because you're working in dance, in music, in singing, and in acting, right? On theatre. And I really loved that for the camaraderie. I loved doing the shows. I loved being on stage, that kind of stuff. So I was doing that, and then I started to do musicals. This is all amateur at this point.
Okay.
And then at the age of 16, I went to a sort of extracurricular drama class outside of my school, which was run by an agent, and she represented me. Shout out to Sharon Harris. She was amazing. She gave me my start in this industry and sort of recognized that in me that I could be professional, which I guess I had an idea of that, but where I'm from and, you know, the small town that I grew up in, it's not really considered a good career choice. And going to this class and with this agent saying, hey, I want to represent you, that gave me my first bit of confidence to go, yeah, I can actually do this. And you being a manager, Vinny, you'll know about these odds. I did one audition, didn't get the job. Yeah. I did the second audition, got the job, and I was like, this is awesome. 1 in 2 chance.
Yeah, keep that going forever.
Yeah, and that was a Dr. Pepper commercial, and it was well paid, and I had a driver, and I met celebrities, and did and it went on TV, and then of course I didn't book another job for another 40 auditions.
Yeah,
and that helped me understand what the ratio really is.
Yeah, it's a rough gig, especially this day and age.
Right.
But when did you come out to the States? Like, what like pushed you out here?
So my first trip to the States ever was when I was 16.
Oh, okay.
And it's because I met a girl in a nightclub.
Okay.
That was from Hawaii. And we met right at the end of the night before they sort of kick you out. And it's very cute. We wrote down our addresses on a napkin and started writing to each other. And then she invited me out to stay in Hawaii. And so I spent all of remember the newspaper round, I spent all of the money I'd saved on the flight ticket. I flew to Hawaii at 16 years old.
Power of a girl.
Yeah, just to see this girl on my own. That experience changed my life, like really did, because it opened my eyes to what was out there. It's not like I never traveled. I traveled with my parents, I traveled with my college. But there was something about traveling to America, and particularly Hawaii, and seeing the way that people lived and just their enthusiasm and support for each other, which I didn't feel a lot of growing up, whether it be within my own family environment or with my extended, London environment. I just didn't see people being as positive and supporting each other in those ways. And
that might just be Hawaii, just so you know.
It's not though. It's not actually. But at the time, it was rose tinted. I was in the Paradise State, right?
Yeah.
However, stuff that I learned in those 2 weeks, or stuff that I was exposed to, just lit that fire in me to move back to Hawaii at some point in my life, and definitely America. And I just loved the sense of opportunity, and I can't really explain it. It was a pivotal point. And so actually, when a few years after that, I was getting kind of frustrated and stagnant in England, I just had that kind of feeling that I was just coasting. I wasn't really enjoying life as I felt like I should. I decided that I needed a change, and I decided I was going to move to somewhere. Yeah. And LA made sense because I was an actor. So I didn't move for a job, but it just made sense. So then I took a research trip out here, came here for 2 weeks and loved it, and then started the process of of getting a visa to come out here and work as an actor. And about a year and a half later, I moved and sort of didn't look back, really.
Nice. What was it like when you first got here? You still had the agent out in the UK, or did you get an agent over here?
I had an agent in the UK, not the same one. I'd moved on by that point.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I came out here, and you kind of have to start again unless you are. You know, I was reasonably working in England, but I wasn't famous, right? And so coming out here, especially at the time I came, where there was no social media, there was no internet was in its infancy. So really coming out here, unless you were James Bond, no one knew you. So you really do have to start again. Yeah. It was starting from scratch. So yeah, I had to make all the phone calls and the emails and get an agent out here. So yeah, I came out and signed with Momentum, and I'm still with them today.
Oh, beautiful.
And yeah, it was just that process of starting again, which is, it's a little humbling. I never really had the ego. I knew I'd have to start everything again. You know, even in life, you start again in the sense of, you know, you have no credit here. It doesn't matter what money you have back home. Doesn't matter what credit you've built up. You're a newborn here. So everything was starting again. Friendship groups, everything. I didn't know anyone in LA either.
Wow, yeah, that's a big jump, man. Yeah, well, I'm happy it worked out. What was your first business when you came out here? Because you're always entrepreneurial minded. What did you sink your teeth into like right away when you got here?
Well, so when I moved here, I was just focused on the acting, but I had a business already from the UK, which was an internet company called Stuck for Staff, and it was a global database of promotional brand ambassadors. So you know the pretty people I've been
a BA in the past.
Yeah, and so had I, which is why that business came about, because we've all worked in it, and it was a very common side gig for actors to do. And so
for sure,
through doing that work, I developed a system with a business partner of mine where it just put that industry online, and it made it easier and more accessible for everybody, and pulled it together a community. So we really kind of like took all the pain points from the industry of booking those staff and simplified it.
What were like, say, some of the companies that you partnered up with, like for these type of events? Like what were you staffing up?
Oh, so basically we had the database that all of the staffing agencies use. So we were like the central system. Imagine like a database right now, like casting networks, you know, all the agencies feed into it. That was what we did for the brand ambassador. And then
don't miss.
The brand clients would come to us as well to find the agency. So we would have someone like BMW or Coca-Cola come to our site. They'd hire an agency through our site, and then that agency would come back to our site and contact the individual staff they wanted to employ.
Wow, beautiful! Yeah. You were the hub.
It was the hub. Yeah, exactly that.
I love that.
It was designed to bring this entire fragmented industry together. I don't know what it was like over here at the time, but in England it was very secretive, and everyone had little, you know, notepads with information on our agents' numbers, and no one had really brought it together as a system. So we did that.
Wow. You mentioned your business partner. Was this the same business partner that you started WeAudition with?
No, it's a completely different one. WeAudition I run with Richard Cambridge, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that relationship and how you two linked up or whatever.
Yeah, this is a very good and relevant story, actually. So Richard is a wonderful guy. He's an actor and producer by nature. He's also a very incredible web developer. And I met Richard because... Excuse me. I met Richard because we both had worked on separate films with the same person, and that person was the casting director Sophie Holland. She now cast The Witcher and you know, Wednesday and all these big shows. And once upon a time, she was an actor, and I did a film with her, and Richard had done a film with her, and that film had come out to America for a festival, and Sophie came to come and for the premiere, and she brought this friend of hers with her, which was Richard. And so we met out in LA, and we just became friends. We had a very similar mindset, and just, you know, he's a really great guy. He's hard not to be friends with. And the one thing he always said to me though was, I know you work in like internet stuff too, I do too, but don't ever ask me to code anything for you. I'm not interested. I'm an actor. I'm a producer. I just do this as my day job. He's like, please don't ever ask me to do anything on the internet for you.
So fast forward.
Fast forward. Me and another friend came up with the idea for WeAudition, and I couldn't shake the idea. I thought it was a great idea, and the more we talked about it, the more I'm like, okay, we really need to do this. But I didn't want to run another company without a technical co-founder.
Of course, yeah.
Because with my last company, me and my business partner weren't technical.
Yeah, you need a CTO from the jump. Yeah.
And so when you hire that in, it's very, very expensive and often very frustrating, right? Especially because the first year at least of the company is a lot of trial and error.
Of course.
And so you want to be nimble and you want to try things out, knowing that it might not work and you're going to have to pivot quickly. And so I was on the search for a CTO, and then we just didn't find anyone that we jammed with. It just, or we found people that were competent, but they just didn't get the industry.
Yeah.
And so it was like, when you're trying to design something for your industry and the person that's got to build it for you just doesn't, they just don't get the nuances. It makes everything very laborious. And so we're sitting in the office one day, just frustrated that we haven't found this person. And I said to my partner, Jess, well, there is this one guy. She's like, you ever mentioned this guy before? I was like, yeah, he told me never, ever, ever, ever to ask him. Never.
Like he was always sitting in the back of your head.
He's always in the back of my head, but he's the perfect guy. But I was aware he told me never to ask him. And you know what? I was just like, you know what? I'm going to ask him. And so without giving him any warning, I flipped open my laptop and I Skyped him. And I said, hey, man, I know you told me never to ask you this, but we have this idea. And I explained it to him. And because we were talking on video chat at the time, and for anyone who doesn't know, WeAudition is a video chat system that helps actors connect with other actors around the world for rehearsals and self-tapes. And I said, yeah, this is the idea, what we're doing right now, but a system where people can just book each other, like booking an Uber through video chat. And he said, okay, I'm in. And I'm like, wait, that's easy. You said never to ask you. You said, I just needed this. My wife was at work. I had a self-tape. I just needed this.
Wow.
I said, well, how did you do it? He said, I recorded my own lines and I played them back. And I know that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So that, he got the point. And so that was the start of the journey.
Yeah, extremely relevant. Wow.
Yeah. And I think this is the thing, whenever you're starting any business, right, to make this, interesting and relevant for the audience, is that whatever business you start, it has to come from a need that you've experienced, or that someone you've researched or knows experienced. Because if you can find a solution to a problem that already exists, then that's business, right?
That's the goal for any startup and developing business. So I guess you kind of explained what WeAudition is, but I guess on a grander scale for someone fresh to it, like, well, what's like the your mantra, whatever. Yeah, just give it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, WeAudition is basically a community of worldwide actors that go online to help each other out, get advice, rehearse, self-tape. On the one side, you can order an actor on demand to help you do whatever you need to do for your script. That might be coaching, that might be just reading the lines, it might be some advice. And then on the flip side, the same members, you can go online when you're not busy and you can earn money by helping other people out.
And that was like you described with the Uber.
Exactly,
which is pretty cool.
You can be a reader or you can hire a reader. And then through events and through our green room and other initiatives we do, we really promote the industry getting to know each other and build relationships. So we bring in casting directors, managers, and agents to meet actors in various different ways, generally through video chat, but also in live events. So we go to all the major film festivals and run panels. It's already everything we do. The mantra, if you like, is all about community, because I don't think there's enough community in our business. There's a lot of fake competition,
and parts of it could be isolating depending on how you view
absolutely,
it.
Absolutely. And when I say fake competition, it's because we're not really competitive. We should be helping each other out. Of course. But sometimes to people maybe that are a little new or naive in the industry, they can feel like it's so competitive. So what we try and promote is this idea of everyone rising together, everyone helping each other out,
When did you start it? Like what year?
Started in 2015, we launched it, but we had the idea probably 2013 and then was working on it all through 2014 to launch it,
We spoke about this, but like did you go through like, say, I don't know, a startup type of cycle or whatever, like meaning like I don't know, competitions or whatever, like to get to the point that you're at now?
No. So we raised a little bit of investment money.
Cool.
just a little seed financing to get us off the ground. But I didn't want to go down that route
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
incubation
all that.
or competitiveness for a couple of reasons. I think sometimes I'm not that person that doesn't talk about my idea. I think when I meet entrepreneurs and they say, "Hey, can you give me some advice on this thing I'm doing?" and I was like, "What is it?" and they're like, "I can't tell you."
Yeah,
I'm like, well, that having that mentality,
it's limiting.
Listen, I don't want to do your idea. I'm doing my idea, and another entrepreneur will do their idea.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people out there that do steal ideas like that, but they're probably few and far between because it all depends on the execution anyway.
Of course.
And so one of the things I was very specific about was like, I think this idea is right now. I don't think I'm the only person that would have had this idea, and we need to just crack on and get going.
Nice.
And we need to build it, and we need to build it quickly. And so that's what I did. I talked to the right people I needed to talk to, and we just got on with it.
Never stopped. You know?
Yeah, and it's not like I devalue an incubator, but I'm more of a hustler, and I like to just get on with something and market test it and put it out there, instead of this long game of maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
Understood.
And in the same sense, I have friends that are entrepreneurs and they've got great ideas, and 5 years later, they're still raising money and haven't launched anything yet.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's they get in that long cycle of just being paid to raise money.
Yeah, it's a funky game.
Yeah.
Tell us about the logo. How'd you come up with it? Because it's pretty cool, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We didn't. We just hired a designer. I want to say there's a great story behind it, but we hired a designer. We gave them our brand values of connectedness, community, all the things. We said it's going to be a video chat, which is why it kind of resembles a video lens. And and it just fit.
Nice.
That's the one that jumped out on the page to us, and we loved it.
But you were telling me the other day about an event related to the logo or something.
Oh, so the one thing I like about our logo is we found that as a brand mark, there's lots that we can do with it graphically. That we pull out elements of the colors and the logo to make sure that everything we do is branded. And so for an event recently that we did, we asked everyone to come dressed in one of the colors of the logo, and they did, and it was really interesting because when you do that, it makes people think about that brand all week long. They're calling their friends and be like, "Hey, what are you wearing?" And they're coordinating, and so that really does make an event versus just a thing you just show up to.
Yeah, a lot more emotion involved, thought, and everything.
Exactly that. You're trying to target the heart and mind, right? And that's the thing. If you can, with any brand, if you can give some sort of positive association or memory or touch point with your brand, that's really what it is. It's not about the logo. It's about how does that logo make you feel? What does it represent when you see it? And that's why when you see some of our branding, sometimes you'll never see our name or the logo, but you'll always see the colors somewhere. You'll always see
it's recognizable for sure.
Yeah, you'll see a sliver of the brand in everything because we want that to trigger,
Double part question. During the pandemic that just happened, how did you spend the pandemic? And also what were the effects of the business during the pandemic?
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll spend the rest of it talking about. I'm kidding.
So, the pandemic came out of nowhere, obviously, for everybody. I was actually on a journey around the world. I decided in 2019 that I was going to travel. I was going to leave LA. Following some personal news, I just decided to leave LA, rent my apartment out, and just go on one-way tickets around the world and say yes to things.
Wow.
So my theme was inspiration or invitation. If I got invited somewhere, I said yes. And if I wasn't invited anywhere, I just went somewhere I was inspired to go.
I love that.
And during that time, I was running events around the world for WeAudition. So I was meeting our local communities everywhere. I would go to a city and put on an event for actors and casting directors and agents. So I get to meet everyone in that community. And that's why we have such a good worldwide presence now. And I was still on that journey when it was February 2020, and I was in LA for Oscar weekend. I seem to have a lot of stories about this, but I met a girl that night that lived in Vancouver, and I flew up to Vancouver to take her on a date because I was still on that journey of living nowhere. Yeah. And then the world shut down. And
my God.
I happened to be in Vancouver. And so I stayed in Vancouver for that year. So I spent the first year of the pandemic in Vancouver, which was I got to be honest, it was beautiful. I mean, the scenery up
Nice.
there is amazing. The place is very clean. The COVID was low compared to the rest of the world, and it just had such amazing outdoor activities. But the second part of the question is, how did it affect the business? I mean, I didn't get a break. And I'm not angry at that. It was amazing because I know a lot of people lost all of their not only their jobs but all of their business and everything. But for us, we were poised and ready to be useful. And that first week of the pandemic, obviously no one knew what was going on and everybody was... But once it sort of settled in, we were all really using video chat. And so our business being, at that point, it was 5 years old. It was already very robust. It was already being used and understood. And so we went from a time when people were using it as a luxury item. You know, I'll use WeAudition when I can't find someone else, to being an essential item, not just for auditioning. Because remember, other places in the world didn't shut down at the same time. So say Australia was still having film industry. And so being a global community, it really gave the actors some purpose. It gave them some camaraderie with other actors. It gave them something to do. And it gave them income. When everyone else was losing their jobs, these actors were developing income. And then cutting back to Sophie, who I mentioned earlier, the casting director that introduced me and Richard, she did something wonderful. And she said, I'm on hiatus from my show. I want to just jump on and help actors however I can. Can I use your platform to meet new actors? Wow. And that's what she did every day. She went on for a few hours and just met actors one-on-one through video chat. And again, giving them purpose, giving them insight. And actually when production got back on, she ended up hiring a few of those as well. So it worked on multiple levels. So our business just was, from the start, we were just on it. And obviously Richard was in England, that's where he lives. So we were remote ourselves. Right. We didn't see each other for 2.5 years.
Wow.
But we were just developing this software the whole time and finding new ways to keep connecting the people.
Yeah, they did really well during the pandemic.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats. How many active users are there on the software now?
We don't really give that figure away, but there's tens of thousands.
All right, cool, nice. With everyone using the software regularly, how does that like make you feel? And like maybe there are some success stories that you could share from it.
Oh yeah, I mean honestly, every day if I look at the Instagram or I get my emails, there's so many success stories. It's really lovely. But the ones that I like the most is when people send me a message and tell me how much it helped them in a personal sense, you know, like that they've set something intrinsic, you know, emotional, like that it got them through a tough time, or they felt some camaraderie, or they, you know, I've had people say to me that their entire acting game has changed because of it, because they feel more confident and qualified. You know, we have readers on there so here's some success stories. We have readers on there that have got over 2,000 reviews. That means that actor has watched 2,000 auditions. Of course, that's made them a better actor. We have readers on there that are making $3,000 to $4,000 a month, part-time, helping other people out. That's helping them ditch their other job, right? Which they didn't want to do. They want to be an actor, and so they are now. They're a full-time actor because they're either acting or they're reading for other actors.
Yeah, gaining all the skills necessary to be on screen anyways.
And of course, you know, we have so many people that tell us that every job they've booked has been with a WeAudition reader. Wow. I think there's been a couple of people that have started their own films through that. They've met someone on the platform and then gone on to run films. So many friendships and camaraderie that we see where, you know, you developed an industry relationship with this person because you're reading with them all the time. And that's what we need. We need connection. You know, we need understanding of each other. And that, I really believe that not only makes you a better actor, it just makes you a better human, you know.
No, I agree. Especially people who are in the same craft, having the same exact struggles, and then, you know, at different times of their career, still being on WeAudition. Like, you have some pretty higher profile people who are engaged. There is. On the app. Yeah.
And we have everyone from brand new people to celebrities. Yeah. And, you know, that's something else. You just mentioned sharing struggles, right? Yeah. I think that's very important. But I also think it's very important to see success. Yeah. And if we go back to my youth, right, one of the things that when I first went to that drama school that had an agency attached, one of the game changers for me at that school, it was only a few miles from my house, but I was like, that person is on television. I was working with someone else that I'd seen on TV. And
so cool.
Only at that moment was I like, okay, this is a career. This guy can do it and he's cool. Then I can do it. And I think that's one of the important things. You could get on WeAudition, sign up, and within 10 minutes, you could be reading with a series regular. That does so much. It shows you that, A, they're just like you.
Yeah.
It shows you that there's someone tangible that's attained that. It's not some lucky person that's a fairy that's non-existent. And then the other thing is, once you work with that person, you know, I think that's as good as working with a coach, as good as working with an acting teacher, is working with someone working.
Yeah.
Because they are working right now. And so you could be being their reader, helping them out, but gaining all of the insight from watching someone that does this for a living do what they do.
Yeah, it's a two-way street for sure.
And then afterwards on our system, that actor reviews your help. How incredibly validating is it as an actor when if you're a newer actor, you're never getting told anything good, right? You either get the job or most of the time you don't get the job. And if you don't get the job, you don't get told anything, right? And here we have a system where every day you're getting validation that you're actually good, you're actually helpful, you're actually providing some value to someone. That's incredibly empowering for an actor that you know, I don't subscribe to this idea that actors get told no a lot. You hear that, oh, it's constant rejection. I don't think it's constant rejection. We don't get told anything, right?
Yeah.
No one's really saying no, not you. They're just, you just don't get the yes. So I think that's a bad path to go down, to think that you're being rejected. But there is an opposite angle where you're not being rejected, you're being celebrated. And the WeAudition readers are getting celebrated every day. And I get every one of those reviews through in my email.
That's amazing.
And it just lights me up when I see it, when I see what these people are feeling about the person that just helped them. It's so empowering, you know?
Yeah, it makes you feel good, something you created to, I don't know, live off, gives you energy.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, you created this beautiful company. It doesn't sound like you have much of it, but when you have your downtime, what do you do?
I actually have a lot of downtime. It's sort of a common misconception about me. People think I'm busy all the time, but I think true success for me is to be busy in a very productive, focused sense, and then take the time off that you need to take when you need it. And that helps me work more focused anyway. Now, I love all the things that most people love. I hear they do. I love travel. I'm really, really into travel. I love seeing new cultures and new places. I, really enjoy going on my paddleboard. I like hiking. I like, I like going to parties. All the things, right?
So it sounds like your Tinder profile.
But, yeah, sounds like everyone's Tinder profile. But I do just enjoy people. I love being around people, and I love entertainment, and I love going to the Hollywood Bowl, all those things. And I think as an actor and a business person, it's really important because you've got to experience life to be a good actor, right?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. What are some of the places you're looking to go next, like traveling wise?
I don't really have a lot of places specifically on the list. There's entire continents I haven't visited, like Africa and South America, that I really want to go to. But I tend to take my travel from certain catalysts. Okay. So I will see a film festival I want to go to, and then while I'm there, I'll explore around that. Or I'll,
Beautiful.
Recently I went to Norway because my friends got married there, and then so
I
stayed and bounced around a little bit. Yeah. So I'm always open to ideas. One of the things I love doing is mixing work with travel.
Yeah.
So because to me, I'm kind of always working and kind of not always working. And I think by having that mentality that everything should be, not should be, but everything for me, I'm going to work wherever I am. I don't really take entire time off because I don't need to.
Yeah.
I love it when those things combine. So when I travel for an acting job somewhere nice, great. Yeah. Or I often get asked to be a speaker at an event, so I've flown to Mexico before to be a speaker at an entrepreneurial event in Tulum. that's amazing. I get to do a little bit of work and then I get to enjoy it. I love that
to be able to take advantage of that.
Yes. So I'm very open to those type of things. In fact, when you do your show from around the world, I'll come and
nice.
I'll come and be a guest in every location.
We'll partner up on something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, global something. Where we're gonna get started with like a little rapid fire type of thing. If you're ready, you good?
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. Have some fun with it. But yeah, it's simple. Do you have a favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas or Back to the Future.
Wow, oh, those two of mine too. The whole series, or you have one of the three?
You know what? Like most people, I probably didn't like 3 as much.
Okay, yeah. Except the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah, two was great, but actually when I watch it back, I don't think 2 holds up as good as 1.
Yeah.
1 is very timeless.
Yes, I agree. Do you have a favorite TV show?
Recently it was Succession, but before that, Breaking Bad. I mean, is the number one.
Yeah.
Always. And you know, it's amazing. I got to like hang out in a Zoom chat with RJ Mitt last night.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, because he was brought in as a guest speaker on. I did a Zoom acting class for Hawaii, and he was one of the other guest speakers. So
that's pretty cool.
Wonderful to get to meet him virtually. Yeah,
that's exciting. That's good to know. Do you have a favorite meal when you think about your favorite meal ever?
Well, I love to cook.
Oh,
right. I like really love to cook. I find like artistry in it. I'm more into plating and doing amazing food. And when I cook, I don't ever use a recipe. I buy a bunch of nice looking ingredients and I make something up. So yeah,
come on, you got something when you think of something. What's your go-to?
My go-to that I cook is probably like, I mean, if I cook a really good bolognese, but I also cook a nice sort of Mediterranean shrimp alajillo with other kind of. But I
gotta set something up here.
I literally make it up, so I make it up as I go along. So you're never gonna get the same meal twice from me.
Got you. So a dream event location for WeAudition.
Oh, to throw a party out.
Yeah.
Dream Bali.
Nice, cool.
But it's only going to happen when we can afford to fly all the actors there, because I don't think there's many actors in Bali. But we would have. We should do a retreat there, a WeAudition retreat. That would be a wild time.
Yeah. What's your zodiac sign? Trying to learn about that.
My zodiac sign is Gemini.
Nice. All right. Cool.
That's all I got. Moving on.
Cool.
Thanks. Nice to know you.
So someone this is the last one. Someone from history you'd love to have dinner with.
Richard Branson. Nice. And I have actually had lunch with him, but in a group. So I'd love to have a private dinner with him. Yeah.
I'd love to hear about that at some point. So we're going to close out here. If you could tell the people what's next for you and how can the people connect with you?
So yeah, thank you for listening. What's next for me? Don't know right now because we're on a strike. I have a few films out this year that I'm not allowed to talk about. But what's next for WeAudition? We just launched this amazing feature called The Green Room, which is helping actors connect with casting directors, industry experts like Vinny over here. I hope he'll be on as a guest. And it's a multi-chat video chat that actually gets you to interact with key industry players. And we're just going to keep on creating and innovating and growing the platform. So I hope if you're an actor, you join up and see us there.
We were so grateful to have Darren here. This was an awesome episode. Thank you for coming out here.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate what you're doing to bring people up.
I'm hoping we can work together in the near future. This was great, and looking forward to speaking soon.
Thank you very much, man. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.